Yeah, this is yes, this is one of our three dining venues here at the Providence. This is our bistro, which is open all day to the members of our community, and it's absolutely stunning. So
And when did the Providence open?
yeah, so we opened in mid-March, so we've only been open for a few months, but we've already welcomed so many people home to our community.
I love it. Now, I guess things are opening up a little bit, and I know that the providers in the community that are out there, many of us haven't been out of our offices to tour some of the new communities. Is it possible for either a family or a provider to come out and meet with you and take a look, and potentially would you treat them to a morsel there at the cafe?
Yeah, so we are open, of course, 7 days a week. So we would love for anyone who's interested to check us out and schedule an appointment with us. Or for the whole month of June, we have open houses every Friday and Saturday from 11 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And at those open houses, we're actually serving brunch from our dining venues. And but if you wanted to schedule something more one-on-one, I would be more than happy to sit down for lunch with anyone and enjoy some of the incredible food that we have here.
Great. Well, make sure before you drop off for that tour to drop your contact info into chat.
Definitely.
And then today our topic revolves around Alzheimer's and memory care. Does your community offer memory care?
It sure does. We actually have two separate neighborhoods for memory care. One is called The Bridge, and it's for earlier stages for folks who are kind of just starting out in their memory loss journey. And then we also have what we call our club level, which is our memory care neighborhood that supports folks who are kind of middle to later stages of Alzheimer's and other dementias.
Excellent. All right. So for those of you in the audience tuning in for because the topic is dementia care, just realize there's a new resource there for your loved ones or your clients. So, well, Amanda, this is great. Just drop your contact info in there, and then I really appreciate you and your colleagues' support this month. Just as a reminder, Amanda is at the brand newly opened Providence and Fairfax. But the Elite Collection also has the Seneca, which is opening soon, next month, I believe, in Rockville. And then early next year in Alexandria, the Landing will be opening. And the Landing is unique because they also have independent living. And I see there, Kitty Janney just popped in her contact information. So good to see that Kitty's on this discussion as well. So, well, thanks a lot, Amanda, and we will definitely be seeing you soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We're so excited to support. I will put, I just saw someone ask for the contact for the Seneca. I'll put Seneca's information and the Providence as well. And then, of course, as you said, Kitty's info is there. So thank you.
Love it. Okay, awesome. All right, so I got a couple of more housekeeping items before we kick off this discussion. The first is to just remind you of what we've got coming up, and next week is going to be a really cool week. We've got Meet the Elder Law Attorneys. We got What to Know Before a Health Crisis, which is a partner event. Two that I really want to spotlight. One in particular, especially for those folks in Virginia or anybody that serves clients in Virginia, is a little known Virginia Medicaid waiver that you can actually get on the list and receive. So make sure to mark your calendar for that if you serve older adults in Virginia. And then on next Friday, I believe, we're going to have a talk on reverse mortgages, which should be interesting. So got a great month planned for you all. Just another reminder, proaging.com is where you go to see all the recordings of these discussions, see what we've got coming up on the calendar. We've got a career center and a provider search. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see all the updated editions of Positive Aging Sourcebook. You can view them online or order free copies. Just a reminder of that. And housekeeping is done, so we can dive into what I think is going to be a really interesting discussion today. I am not even going to attempt to pronounce Charles's last name. I'm going to let him do it. But I am really pleased to make the connection with Charles. And what's your last name?
It's Nwaokobia.
Okay, I'm not even going to try to repeat that. I tried before the meeting. I was like, okay, but Charles is from Evon Medics, and I'll tell you, as you can imagine, being in the media, I get a lot of press releases, and I've got all my Google alerts on companies that are serving older adults. And a few months ago, this company came across my radar that received this grant of $2.5 million to explore this product that they've got in trial that can help with Alzheimer's and cognitive issues. And as I read the press release, I was like, wow, this is a Mid-Atlantic company. This is a local Mid-Atlantic company. For those of you who are outside the area, we're based in the Mid-Atlantic. And so I was really excited to learn about this development, meet Charles, and I was excited to bring him on to talk about what this product does. And I believe you're in trials, so they're looking for volunteers. So that's another great reason to have this discussion. But Charles, before we dive into the product and you sort of telling us about it, I like for our audience to get to know our panel members a little bit better. Tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to your current role at Evon Medics with this unique product.
Thank you very much, Steve. You're too kind. And good day, viewers. It's a pleasure to be here. So I wear many hats at Evon Medics. I'm the COO, responsible for business operations, strategy, and finance. And I'm also deeply involved in research work, marketing, product development, and the clinical trial operations. And I write grants and contribute to scientific publications. I guess what has been helpful for me is a combination of my science and business background. I have a master's in business administration, and my undergrad was in the sciences. And my very diverse work experience spanning business development, customer relationship management, business consulting, operations, and supply chain management has also been helpful. All this has been useful, like I said, in helping to build a broad knowledge of how to manage and grow a sustainable business. Also interesting to mention is that I have worked in numerous verticals. I've worked in the CPG, telecommunications, finance, insurance, waste management, e-commerce, and healthcare. With this, you get a pretty good understanding of the importance of understanding the uniqueness of the markets you serve and the importance of creating a viable business model to win in these markets. And I remember in a number of interviews for jobs I've applied to, the interviewers always ask, I mean, what's going on? You have experience in these sectors, you've worked in these roles. Why this company? Why this role? And the answer was always, I looked at your job description. I believe I can make an impact here based on my knowledge. I believe I can transfer this skill to apply here. But the honest answer was, I just want to learn about what you do. I'm looking to broaden the scope of my knowledge. And for those of us that could be quite restless, we know that there's nothing as interesting and engaging as taking up new challenges in completely new roles, new environments, new markets, and working with people of diverse backgrounds and training. So that's the excitement, that's what I'm about. And for Evon Medics, I've always been into consulting, like I said. Even if I have a full-time job, I still do some private consulting by the side. So I have been consulting for Evon Medics for a very long time, worked on business modeling, business plan, a strategy, the commercialization plan for the products, and market research. And then when you do these things, you have a broad understanding of what the business is about. And I was extremely intrigued and excited because I knew, I mean, there was huge prospects, and there was no limit to what we could do at Evon Medics. So when the opportunity came for me to join, I quit my full-time job without thinking about it. And I've been with them full-time, and it's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to what we stand to achieve at Evon Medics.
Great. No, this is exciting. So, well, that is a great segue to learn about this product that you've developed. And so what I'm going to do, Charles, is I'm going to drop behind the curtain here, and you can share your screen and your presentation. I've got a couple of videos that you wanted to share. You just let me know when you want to share those. But I also want to just remind our audience, we love it when these are interactive. So if at any point in Charles' presentation you have a question, just type it in and we'll make sure that we get to it. So take it away there, Charles, and hopefully you'll be able to share your screen. There we go. Okay.
Let me see. This is probably the wrong screen. 1 minute.
Maybe use your up arrow button on your keyboard there. Whoops.
Yeah, I just up share. Sorry, I think I had the wrong video on.
Oh, okay. I always tell people these technical issues on a Zoom meeting are solved a lot faster than when we did live events. It would be, I remember waiting for like 5 minutes for somebody to walk on the stage. Okay, there we go. So then just go into present mode.
At Evon Medics, we're pioneering now.
Yeah, it sounds like you could probably.
Okay, so I guess I got it figured out now. Thanks.
Yep.
Okay, good day, viewers. I will be presenting the Evon Medics solution for Alzheimer's disease, the Computerized Olfactory Training System, what we call the COT. I'm Charles Nwaokobia, the CEO, Evon Medics. Start the presentation, I will share a commercial with you to shed some more light on what we do at Evon Medics.
Living a longer and healthier life is something that many of us desire. At Evon Medics, we're pioneering natural solutions that will impact some of the most pressing, costly, and debilitating medical issues we face today and into the future. Our pioneering therapeutics address critical health and quality of life issues like Alzheimer's disease, opioid use disorder, traumatic brain injury, and chronic pain without any side effects. To learn more about our progress, funding, and phase studies, visit evonmedics.com. Living a longer and healthy.
We exist to improve quality of life through mental well-being. And yes, we want to give everyone the opportunity to live a longer and healthier life. So diseases rob us of the opportunity to live longer and healthier lives. And Alzheimer's disease is one of the most devastating of the lot. For those of us who know little or nothing about Alzheimer's disease, I'll tell you what it is. But first, let me show you what it feels like. This is what Alzheimer's disease feels like. Loneliness, depression, confusion, forgetfulness, dependence. Alzheimer's disease is an irreversible neurological disease that impairs cognition, orientation, and functional capacity, and is the most common dementia in late life. Patients affected with Alzheimer's lose their ability to perform regular activities of daily living like bathing, dressing up, and eating, and they have to rely on caregivers, formal and informal, to perform these tasks. Courtesy of the Alzheimer's Association, I will share the next few slides to shed some more light on the extent of the devastation caused by this disease. More than 6 million Americans and over 20 million people globally are living with Alzheimer's disease. 122,000 deaths in the US in 2018, It kills more people with breast cancer and prostate cancer combined. And it is the 5th leading cause of death among Americans aged 65 and older. Alzheimer's deaths and other dementia deaths have increased by 16% since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. This year, Alzheimer's and other dementia will cost the US $355 billion in healthcare costs. That's more than the total annual budgets for California and Washington states combined. And these are the 2 states with the highest budget allocations. And it only gets worse. By 2050, the annual cost is expected to top $1.1 trillion. Over 11 million Americans provide unpaid care, translating to 18.5 billion hours for people with Alzheimer's and other dementia. This is a lost contribution to the US, valued at $234 billion. And minorities are the hardest hit, with 50% of Blacks, 42% of Native Americans, 33% of Asian Americans, and 32% of Hispanics with Alzheimer's and other dementia reporting discrimination when seeking healthcare. And 47% of Blacks do not believe that the future cure for Alzheimer's will be shared equally, regardless of race, color, and ethnicity. Now that we have a little bit of understanding of Alzheimer's disease and the devastating effects, I would also like to explain how this disease affects the brain. Before I do so, I would share a video with you, courtesy of Amazon Prime, to show the complexities of the human brain, so you have an understanding of the magnitude of the problem we have with finding a cure for Alzheimer's disease.
Animal life on Earth goes back millions of years, yet most species only use 3 to 5% of its cerebral capacity. But it isn't until we reached human beings at the top of the animal chain that we finally see a species use more of its cerebral capacity. If life starts approximately 1 billion years ago, 1 neuron, you're alive, 2 neurons, you're moving. And with movement, interesting things begin to happen. 10% may not seem like much, but it's a lot if you look at all we've done with it. If we could access, let's say, 20% of our brain's capacity, this first stage would give us access to and control of our own body. Well, the next stage would probably be control of other people. But for that, we would need to access at least 40% of our brain's capacity. After control of ourselves and others, come control of matter. If its habitat is not sufficiently favorable or nurturing, the cell will choose immortality. In other words, self-sufficiency and self-management.
Everything's different now. Like sounds are music that I can understand, like fluids. It's funny, I used to be so concerned with who I was and what I wanted to be, and now that I have access to the furthest reaches of my brain, I see things clearly and realize that what makes us us, it's primitive. They're all obstacles. Film a car speeding down a road. Speed up the image infinitely, and the car disappears. So what proof do we have of its existence? Time gives legitimacy to its existence. Time is the only true unit of measure. Without time, we don't exist.
But what would happen if, for some reason, we ignore somebody unlock 100% of the cerebral capacity?
100%?
Yes?
I have no idea.
Quite some fiction in there. That's a movie titled Lucy, featuring Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman. But a key takeaway from the video is that we know very little about how the human brain works. Weighing just about 3 pounds, the brain controls every activity in humans, from beating of the heart to storage of memories. And it contains about 100 billion neurons, which are specialized cells that communicate with one another using chemical and electrical signals. The pathogenesis of Alzheimer's disease begins from the olfactory system, which is the region of the brain responsible for perceiving and interpreting smell, many years before the onset of cognitive symptoms. It gradually spreads to other parts of the brain, depositing a plaque formed by beta amyloid, which are proteins causing brain atrophy. Brain atrophy is the loss of brain cells caused by the degeneration and death of the neurons in the brain. It is signified by shrinkage of the brain. As you can see, the picture on the left shows a shrunken brain affected by Alzheimer's disease. And when you compare this with the picture on the right, which is a normal brain, you can see the magnitude of the damage to the brain caused by Alzheimer's disease. Unfortunately, current therapeutics for Alzheimer's are merely palliative and cannot prevent, slow, or reverse the progression of the disease. They also cause adverse side effects like confusion, psychosis, depression, falls, and insomnia, which lead to multiple medications. They're also quite expensive, costing about $273 to $500 or more a month. At Evon Medics, we have developed the Computerized Olfactory Treatment System, the solution to the lingering Alzheimer's disease crisis. The COT, we believe, is a product of our patented olfactory treatment delivery system and works by the simple process of chemosensory brain stimulation and computerized olfactory cognition training using nebulized natural plant essential oils, confirmed as generally recognized as safe, that's GRAS, by the FDA. This is a novel and highly differentiated solution that actually works. The benefits of the COT versus current therapeutics is pretty clear. It uses only natural substances, and thus there are no side effects and stimulus from its use. It improves cognition. It costs a fraction of current treatments. It helps improve sleep, and it is user-friendly treatment that can actually be used at home. We proved that the COT works in our pilot study on 24 mild cognitive impairment and early Alzheimer's disease patients. A 12-week treatment intervention on the MCI patients showed a 5-point increase in logical memory 2 scores over baseline after just 6 months, and 3.5-point increase in early Alzheimer's disease patients. And this is highly commendable, as the expectation is actually for a decrease in the scores. And though insignificant, the control groups either showed the same scores or a decrease in the scores over baseline after 6 months. And the logical memory 2 subscale is what we use for measuring patients' ability to recall information after 20 to 30 minutes. And it is used for evaluation of forgetfulness or memory decay. Also, some of the patients treated with the COT showed increased brain size in the memory storing hippocampus 12 months over baseline. The size of the hippocampus actually reduced in the control groups. Based on these remarkable and encouraging results from our pilot study, we were awarded a $2.5 million grant for our pivotal study by the National Institute on Aging, a part of the National Institute of Health. Together with our fantastic collaborators from Howard University and Johns Hopkins University, we hope to see similar or improved efficacy and safety results from our pilot studies, which we are embarking on. We have renowned members of our team. The site principal investigators for the studies are Dr. Thomas Obicheson, who's a renowned professor of gerontology from Howard University, and Dr. Konstantin Lyketsos, a professor at Johns Hopkins University and a distinguished leader in the field of clinical and translational Alzheimer's disease studies with over 400 publications. We are providing the opportunity for anyone who is eligible to be a part of this groundbreaking study. If you are 65 to 85 years old and you have been diagnosed with mild Alzheimer's, kindly visit the Evon Medics website using details from the link provided, or you can call 914-888-7678 for more information on how you can volunteer. And yes, we want you to volunteer, but you also get benefits. And some of the benefits to the volunteers include free MRI and fMRI scans, valued at about $500 for Medicare and Medicaid patients with 20% copay, and up to $20,000 for patients on a high deductible plan. The participants would also receive a total of $275 for completing the study, and the minimum expectation for completing the study, you would receive up to $50. That's, you complete the screening visits. At the minimum, you will receive $50. So anyone who comes to the study will expect to get at least $50. And of course, as we all know, there wouldn't be a coronavirus vaccine if people had not volunteered. So by volunteering for this study, you will be helping to bring a possible disease-modifying therapeutic for Alzheimer's disease to millions globally. Some of the locations of our study recruitment sites are Howard University Hospital in DC, the Johns Hopkins Memory and Alzheimer's Disease Center in Maryland, Hayes Senior Wellness Center in DC, and Stoddard Baptist in DC. And for more information on Evon Medics and what we're doing in our clinical trials, kindly visit the Evon Medics website and social media pages with the links provided here. We are also very passionate about helping out in any other way possible to provide support for the millions of Alzheimer's sufferers and caregivers all over the world. So at Evon Medics, we support the Alzheimer's Association, which is the largest nonprofit organization dedicated to accelerating global research to end the scourge of Alzheimer's. Coincidentally, the month of June is also the Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. So I ask you all to join Evon Medics team to help spread the word, make donations, and solicit for donations. You can learn more about the association at www.alz.org. That's www.alz.org. And you can join the Evon Medics team to help spread the word and make donations using the link provided. http://act.alz.org/go-to/Evon_medics_angels. That's the Evon Medics Angels. Conclude this presentation, I'd like to leave you all with a not so fun fact about Alzheimer's disease. Did you know that you could have symptoms of Alzheimer's disease by the time you're celebrating your 30th birthday? Yes, that's pretty sad, but true. About 5% of Americans with Alzheimer's have the early onset variety, which can start to show symptoms as early as your 30s. Join us on our mission as we fight to end the scourge of Alzheimer's disease. Thank you.
Great, Charles. Thanks for that overview. And as I expected, we've got a bunch of questions for you that are coming in, and so let me get right on these. And so Neil has got about a bunch of good questions. So first is the goal for the device to be an FDA medical device or wellness device?
Okay, so it goes both ways, and that's a pretty good question. So the device, we actually have an NDA, and then we don't have to go through the whole process for the whole regulatory process. So we can actually go as a wellness device. All we need to do is to be careful or wary about our claims. So we know that it has some effect on Alzheimer's patients, and because we know it has some effect on Alzheimer's patients, that's improving the cognition and helping to improve sleep and all the other fantastic stuff. We are in the clinical trials right now to prove the efficacy based on the claims and safety. So you can actually get this through prescription based on the claims or based on whatever we put on the labels. And there's an option for actually going the wellness route. That's all we have to do is just say it helps improve cognition. And then you can buy it out of pocket at the Walgreens or a CVS or any other pharmaceutical stores. So we're looking at both routes. That's what we're looking at. And hopefully we will be able to get it to everyone, either based on a prescription or out of pocket for those who want to use it as a wellness device, because it doesn't have or cause side effects. So that's a plus. And it contains generally recognized as safe components, like I mentioned, which are plant-based essential oils, which can be found anywhere in foodstuff. So it's pretty safe to use. So we can actually go both routes, wellness and as a therapeutic through prescription.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought up the plant-based substances. Because Neil had another question, is what plant-based substances are used in this? And I believe, like, I've seen the images on your website, and you mentioned it's an olfactory product. So it's sort of like an oxygen style treatment, correct?
Yes, nebulized. The oils are nebulized into gas. And then it goes through your olfactory system, your nostrils, and then it targets the parts of the brain that we try to treat. Yes, so it's plant-based substances, natural oils. It's proprietary information, but it's pretty much, I mean, it's things you can see in foodstuff. I mean, all the good things you can get from some foodstuff, that is what we have there. It's plant-based essential oils. I mean, you can find them everywhere. So it's proprietary information, like I said, but we use a combination of some of the oils to target the areas of the brain we're trying to treat.
Okay, and then in your initial research, you've discovered that this can improve people with dementia, Alzheimer's. Are there some other sort of, whether they be cognitive or other things that this treatment has shown to improve?
Oh yes, pretty much. So we also are in clinical trials, phase 2 as well, pivotal studies for opioid use disorder. So anyone who has a opioid use concern, heroin, cocaine, and all, can actually be on the treatment. So it's all about, so we know the constituents, the components we're trying to get, the constituents that actually help to cure or treat the diseases we're trying to treat. And we have a paradigm, algorithms of codes that we use to help in cognitive training, which also helps to target the areas of the brain we're trying to treat. So like I said, it's all about chemosensory stimulation. And once you stimulate these areas of the brain, the neurons, it regenerates automatically. It helps the synapses, the neurons start working better. And sometimes you can actually get a growth. Like I said, in the phase 1 study, there was actually hippocampal volume growth, which is remarkable because the brain is supposed to shrink. When you have Alzheimer's, it degenerates and it dies. So it shrinks. but with what we're doing, we're seeing growth in brain cells, which is fantastic.
How extensive are for those, including myself, who are not familiar with how these phase 1-2 studies go, how extensive is phase 1, and then you're in phase 2? What happens when you get through phase 2? And actually, there is a question on here that related to that. So yeah, tell us a little bit about phase 1 and transitioning to phase 2, and then what happens after that.
Okay, so phase 1 is a pilot study. What you're trying to get is proof of concept that the device actually works. It's a small sample size. For the phase 1 for our Alzheimer's study, we had 24 participants, which is reasonable for a phase 1 study. And then you prove the concept, you show that it works, you put up your papers, you publish, it's peer reviewed. And then you go through the NIH, which is who we've been going through for funds. And then they're happy with the results, and then they fund you for the phase 2. So after phase 1, you go to phase 2. And at phase 2, you're looking at a larger sample size, a more inclusive sample size. So for phase 2, we're looking at 140 participants,
Okay.
which is a larger and more reasonable sample size. And that's for the opioid use clinical trials. For the Alzheimer's clinical trials, we hope to enroll about 200 or more. So we have a target of 160 participants. And then it's the same thing. We refine the device based on feedback we received from phase 1. I mean, it's better, faster, smaller, smarter, and more user-friendly. And then we go through, from some of the lessons we learned from phase 1, we applied to phase 2. The treatment will last about 45 to 60 minutes a day. You put the cannula, you attach a cannula into your nostrils, and the cannula is attached to the device. And then it's a touch screen device. You start the device, it starts prompting you for actions. It starts nebulizing through a pump. It starts nebulizing the oils to your, it's a sequence, a proprietary sequence of how the oils are introduced, the sequence they are introduced in, the combination and all. And then the cognitive task is a whole sequence, and that's all proprietary information. Well, it's been shown to work, and then we hope to replicate results in the clinical trials for our phase 2 as well. And then from phase 2, you can actually go to phase 3, or you can start working towards commercialization to get the products to market.
Okay, and that was, hopefully that helps Neil with your question about the anticipated time frame. So how long, so those folks in the audience, if you know somebody that may have been diagnosed with dementia or Alzheimer's, they can contact you, which I'll share your contact info to be a part of the trial. Is there a cost involved for people to be involved in the trial?
Oh, definitely no cost whatsoever. Like I mentioned in the presentation, you actually get $275 gift card for completing the study.
Okay.
And even if you don't, the minimum you get is $50, and that's by going through screening tests for the studies. And then the value, of course, as apart from being part of history in making or providing a disease-modifying therapeutic, you also get free MRI, magnetic resonance imaging scans, or fMRI scans, which are valued at up to about $20,000. So that's, if you want to get an MRI scan, you might as well come over for free. Yeah.
Well, so this is, you can see if you have a loved one or a client that has cognitive impairment, you can see the value in this, because more than likely your doctor has not ordered an MRI scan, and done a diagnosis through a different form of testing. So, so hopefully we can help you with that. Now, earlier in your presentation, you were talking about minorities and Alzheimer's. I just want to make it clear, there was a question, is the request for minorities participants in this study? It's for all participants, but yes, it would be it would be good if you could get a cross section of minorities, correct?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, historically, for clinical trials, and including Alzheimer's, you don't get too much participation from minorities. And sometimes we all know, based on our physiology, there's some differences. Like you can have a cure, for example, for pain, some kind of pain, and then it works well on the white population, and it doesn't work well on the Black population. So participation is huge in clinical trials. We want diverse backgrounds, like diverse ethnicities. So Blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians. I mean, everyone is invited to be in the clinical trials. We want a very inclusive population size, and that's what we're looking for. And then because it's a minority-owned company, we're also having some kind of traction with the Black community. So that's great. It means we're going to have representation, huge representation of the Black population in the clinical trials, which will make the results of the clinical trials a lot more credible.
And I'm assuming that because it's a natural substance, it's not a pharmaceutical, that the side effects in your phase 1 were probably minimal, if any, because it's a natural substance just going through your olfactory system, correct?
Yeah, I mean, no side effects from phase 1. I mean, what you might get, I mean, for those who can't tolerate smell, some people have very sensitive smells. Probably you won't be too excited about putting a cannula in your nose and getting essential oils nebulized into it. Probably a bit of itch in your nose and the likes. But I mean, when you're talking about side effects, you're talking about psychosis, falls, insomnia. I mean, throwing up and all that. You don't get that with our device. It's all natural, all healthy, and then you get so much more benefits by using it.
Great. And then, do you have any idea of what if this goes through all the trials and it's released to the commercial market? Do you have a target pricing, or what do you think? Have you got that far yet in terms of?
So that's a great question, and that's been one of my pains. So we want to make sure it's extremely affordable. We want to make sure it's something anyone can pick up at a CVS or a Walgreens. So it's what we've been working on with our contract manufacturers, product developers, and all, constantly reiterating, constantly making changes, constantly looking for cheaper materials, better, faster materials, to make sure we get to the price points where everyone can afford it. As it is right now, we're looking at, I don't want to, don't quote me on it, but we're looking at fixing it at the price of about $150 to $250. Right now, where we're at is a bit less than $1,000 production costs. So continuously, with the help of investors, with the help of big manufacturers, of course, we will, and then of course, economies of scale, we should be able to get the price down. I mean, hopefully to about $50. And that's the plan, so everyone can afford it. So we don't need to have or look for reimbursement or insurance to afford it, because this is something everyone should have. This is something everyone should have the opportunity to use. And that's what we want at Evon Medics, and that's what we're fighting to do.
So back to the time frame real quick. The phase 2, what's your target to get? I mean, I know you don't have a crystal ball, you need test subjects, but end of phase 2, is that something that's sort of like at the end of this year, or does it go into next year? Do you know?
Okay, we just got the funding, so we just started the clinical trials. It's a 6-month intervention in total, with a 3-month follow-up. So that's about 9 months for each participant. And then, I mean, if we can get all the participants right now, we can finish in 9 months.
Okay.
But the target is to, I mean, make sure we finish sometime next year. If we get all the 5 participants, they go through the process, they go through the entire clinical trials. So it's just 9 months, that's all we need. And then of course, maybe a 12 months follow-up as well, just to check to see if the results have been sustained. So all we need is 12 months. With the participants, we definitely will finish in 11 or 12 months.
Okay, and then you would be at a point where you could potentially either go into phase 3 or commercialize after that.
Yes, yes.
So,
After the data will let us know. We're optimistic
and
though.
let's see, Barbara Stolman asks, will you be opening any trial locations in Virginia? And I guess, like, how does this trial work? It sounds like, because it's, I believe you said it's 40 minutes a day. Is this something where you provide the device to somebody and they are doing it in their home? Or
Yes.
is this where they need to go to a location?
Oh no, so all they have to do, the study sites, all you do at the study sites is to go for your screening and baseline tests. And of course, we have follow-ups months 1, month 3, and month 6. And that's it. Every other time you are at your home making use of the device.
So
45 to 60
nationwide,
minutes a day, yes.
you could,
So
you could,
we're concentrating, we don't have the resources to stretch or spread the sites. We're concentrating mainly in the DC and Maryland areas.
okay.
But we can entertain people from within or around the region, as long as you will be able to come when required for the clinical trials, for your dates, for your appointments. As long as you can make it happen, that's fine. We can entertain people from everywhere.
Neil has a good question. Where can we find the full study results? Is that he says PubMed? Can you share the study results, or how does one access that?
Yes, I can. I don't have the exact website or the name right now, but you can find details on our website. It's published, and then of course we will also publish on clinicaltrials.gov pretty soon, so you can see what we're trying to do for the phase 2 and results from the phase 1. We have publications. You can find them on our website.
Okay.
www.evonmedics.com.
Okay, great. And then let's see. Okay. Please repeat the phone number for those who want to volunteer.
Okay, the phone number is 914-888-7678.
Okay.
And then you can also go on our website, www.evonmedics, and that's one word, .com. There's a place where you can actually volunteer. There's a page where you can volunteer, the contact us page. You can put in your details and then volunteer.
I put that into chat, but I'll follow up with everybody with the contact info. And Neil, I want to thank you. If I could give you an award for the best questions, which I should start doing, is the person that asks the best or most questions. I love it. But Neil says, so is the product available today? And I guess in theory, it is available, that if you sign up for the clinical trial, you can utilize the product, and it's free of charge, or you're making, you get a little bit of benefits there. So, so if somebody contacted you today, Charles, how, and they meet all the requirements for the clinical trial, how soon could they begin the treatment?
Okay, so we should be starting off the next month or next couple of months.
Okay.
We're putting everything in place right now. Like I said, we're doing quite a lot of work on the product development side. I mean, what we use for phase 1 is great, but based on feedback, we had to refine and make some changes based on the feedback we got. So we need to make sure the device is perfect for the phase 2. So we're taking, we're enrolling right now. We're taking down details, contacts. We'll keep you posted. We will continue communicating with you once you subscribe. The next couple of months, 1 or 2 months, we should start full-time recruitment and enrollment, and then you can join. So and you said something about having to use the device. Yes, you use the device during the clinical trials, definitely. But we just to remind you all, it's a randomized, controlled, double-blinded clinical trials. So some people will have the device, some people will have the control. which is a sham device. So, but every single person will have the opportunity to use the device after the clinical trials. I mean, even those on control can have the opportunity to use the device for up to a year after the clinical trials, once we prove efficacy. So everyone will have the opportunity to actually use the device.
Okay. Wow. No, that's interesting, and that makes sense. And so, okay. All right. Okay. So let's see. We've got a lot of questions here. So Linda asks, to be in the trial, must one have an actual diagnosis for Alzheimer's? And what do they do that through their physician or your physician, or how is that diagnosis validated?
Yeah, you can get your, we need a mild Alzheimer's diagnosis from your physician. We get the documents, we see, I mean, we check your medical records, we confirm this. So you need to have mild cognitive impairment. And like I mentioned, you have to be 65 to 85 years of age. And then for females, you must have been postmenopausal for at least over 2 consecutive years. And I think the only other restriction is you need to have someone accompany you for the visits. And this is just the visits, screening, baseline, and follow-up visits. You need to have someone who has their cognitive in place, the cognition in place to follow you for the visits. Those are the only restrictions. Okay. So 65 to 85 years and diagnosed with mild Alzheimer's through your physicians, and we just confirm from medical records.
Okay, and then Betty has a good question, because you talked about plant-based. If an allergy exists, are there choices of plants? For example, if there's a grass allergy, can this be used? So is that part of the screening as well, is that somebody has an understanding of what they're allergic to before beginning this treatment?
Yes, that will be one of the exclusion criteria. I mean, we'll check if you have allergies to some components. Obviously, it's not going to work for you because you get irritated or whatever. So, but the components we have, it's based on extensive studies. I mean, not all plant essential oils have the same compounds. So through extensive studies, we found the most ideal compounds or constituents in this plant space, and that informed our choice for the essential oils we used. So we cannot say you have an allergy for this, so we'll swap it up with this for you. It won't work. So it's all the plant. I mean, it's a combination of about 10 plant-based essential oils, and we can't change it, or we can't customize it to fit your needs or expectations.
The Patricia says, is curious, and it's a good question, Patricia. How did you get the idea that inhaling these oils would have a better effect than sort of taking them in pill or oral delivery? And it sounds like part of this is a combination of the oils, but the big part of this is that it's delivered through the olfactory system, correct?
Yes, so olfactory system, like I said, it's a wonderful system region in the brain. And like I said, pathogenesis of Alzheimer's actually begins there. And then from the coronavirus, we all know the effects of anosmia, loss of smell when you're infected by coronavirus. So there's a lot going on in the olfactory region, and then we were able to develop, and based on extensive research, we're able to confirm the importance of this region and how it affects brain health and total health or well-being. So through extensive research, we found out it was easier or better, and it's something about the blood-brain barrier. It's something about, like, when you feelings, when you enter a room with a sweet smelling aroma, that there's a certain way you feel, a certain excitement and all. And it's also, I mean, probably not the best example. I mean, for those who smoke, the feeling you get from when you inhale those scents, stuff like that. So there is something special about the olfactory system. You can't get that from taking pills or drugs or whatever. And that's what we do we're fortunate, of course, it's providence as well. We were able to find out the intricacies of this region, how we can make things work through this region. And we've also been able to, we have a pipeline, we'll also be able to develop therapeutics outside of opioid use disorder and Alzheimer's. We also have therapeutics for chronic pain, traumatic brain injury, and treatment refractory depression. So this is wonderful. We're pretty excited about our pipeline and the opportunities that we can get or provide through treatments.
So yeah, I'm glad you brought up pain management. That was my next question. As somebody heard that you referenced pain management, but just to be clear, you're not yet in a trial for pain management yet.
Oh no, we've done
seeing some positive results.
Yeah, we've done preliminary studies on that, and of course in animal models as well. We were even more excited about the results we received from the chronic pain treatment. So we believe this is going to be the next big thing. We applied for phase 1 and 2 clinical trials grants. So hopefully we'll be getting it sometime this year, and then we can start full-blown studies on that. So chronic pain, we're pretty excited about the results we've gotten so far. And we hope definitely we will be able to turn it into something useful for, I mean, we have about 1.5 billion people worldwide that suffer from chronic pain. It's going to be a godsend.
Edme says she understands that this right now, we're focusing on Alzheimer's and opioid, but she's curious if anybody has approached you regarding Parkinson's or movement disorders.
So there's a possibility, but we haven't done extensive research on that. Outside of Alzheimer's, yes, other neurodegenerative diseases, frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body, we know, but we haven't done extensive research on that yet to see what pathways, what compounds will be best used and all that. But hopefully it's going to be coming soon once we complete our extensive research and studies, and we hopefully will be able to get this to market as well. That's the plan.
Okay, and I just have a few. Some of these are I'm just reiterating some questions that have come in. The phases, you've got through phase 1, you're in phase 2, and how many volunteers do you need to get through phase 2 to complete phase 2? I think you said about 200 or so.
Yeah, we hope to enroll up to 200. I mean, some might drop off and all, but all we need is 160 participants. Based on our power, we need 160 participants for the clinical trials for phase 2.
And then you move to phase 3 if that passes phase 3 and potential commercialization. And this could be a couple of years, 18 months, or if you could get 200 people today, it could be a 9-month treatment to get through that. Patricia, when you were talking about trying to price this affordably, I think this is wonderful, but when you referenced, hey, it'd be great if this could be in Walgreens and CVS for $59. So what that would be the medical device, and then the oil mixture would be another expense, correct?
Yes, yes, that will be. So it's housing cartridges, and the cartridges are attached to the device, so that will be a consumable. We also target the prices for that as low as possible. From our research so far, we believe reasonable quantity using at the prescribed dosage, it should last about 6 months. So we will price it to make it very affordable as well. And then all you need to do is to buy a replacement kit, which houses the odorants every 6 months. I mean, if we can make it last a lot longer than that, it will be fantastic. I mean, it makes it easier for everyone. But right now, it's at 6 months. We expect the odorants to be exhausted and the need for a replacement within 6 months.
Okay. And then, but I think one of the things is that you're hoping to price this and be able to deliver this so that it's more of a consumer over-the-counter product as opposed to something that has to be paid for through somebody's insurance or Medicare or what have you. Dave Costello asks, are there any efficacy measures from the test treatments that you can share? And that's over my pay grade. I'm not sure how you answer that. Yeah.
Okay. I believe I mentioned it helps. When you say share, you mean like an online resource, or it's published, like I said, so you can get the results there.
Okay, we'll make sure.
It helps improve cognition, like I said, or maybe he missed the part where I explained it in the presentation. There was a 5-point increase in logical memory 2 skill for MCI patients, which is huge.
Okay.
I mean, when you have Alzheimer's, the expectation is for you to continue losing cognition. So your scores are supposed to keep dropping. And that's what you found from using the sham or the OT. But with the COT, which is our device, there was an increase. This is phenomenal, like I said. What happens on using the current therapeutics is your cognition remains the same, or it slows the degradation or degeneration. But what we have actually improves cognition. I mean, you don't see that anywhere. That's why it's fantastic. And that's why we hope to have or match similar results for our phase 2 and get to market as quickly as possible. So cognition improvement is one of them. And then it also helps to induce or improve sleep, like I said. And when you use other therapeutics, you get adverse side effects, which makes things probably even worse, like falling down, sleeplessness, and the likes. But using our device, it helps to improve sleep as well, which is phenomenal.
Okay.
And then
so we'll if you send me the link to the study, I think that'll answer a lot of the more technical questions that people are asking. Jane asks, and I think we did say, she asks, will this treatment require the person to use it daily? And is this thought to be ongoing treatment for the life of the person, or is it, do you see this as being sort of a temporary treatment for folks?
Okay, so it's kind of like fighting nature. Like I said, there was 12-month follow-up, and then we had sustained improvements in volume growth of the brain, hippocampal region. We expect, until we continue with the clinical trials, until we have extensive studies, we would not know for sure. But my expectation is that probably just like every other thing, just like exercise, just like eating good food, you have to do that consistently over time to sustain results. I'm thinking that this might be the case as well. But it'll be fantastic if all you have to do is use it for 2-3 years, and then that's it. It'll be fantastic. But
I guess that's why we have these clinical trials. And and so also, I know you, for phase 1, you've only had, I should say only, it's a significant 24 people that use this, but is there any sort of indication between what phase of the disease, so early stages versus late stages, or have you seen any indications, or is it too early to be able to track?
It's going to be early stages, like MCI and early Alzheimer's. I wait for the treatment that will be able to cure late Alzheimer's disease. It's almost too late by the time it gets to that point. So it's for early Alzheimer's and mild cognitive impairment patients. That's what it is for now.
Okay.
I was surprised if there's we pray to have a therapeutic that can cure Alzheimer's when it's gotten to the late stages. There's so much damage in the brain by that point that I don't think, there's any going back. But it's early stages.
man, time has just slipped by here. I've got, I can't believe it's almost 1:10, but I've got a few more questions. If it's okay, I'll just keep on going. And then when we wrap these up, we can, but I'm gonna, just for everybody who's still hanging on there, I'll make sure to send Charles's contact info. So with some of these questions, obviously reach out to him and his team and reach out to the trial. Okay. So, okay, let's see. Okay, Neil says some people do have negative reactions to essential oils and other natural substances. Based on that, can you really, okay, can you really say there's no side effects? Yeah, earlier, Neil, I think we addressed that, especially if somebody is allergic to the items in those natural oils, and that's why I was asking. I think that a key qualifying question for somebody would be any kind of allergic reactions. Yes, I mean, but Charles, if you want to elaborate on, you know, on that.
Yeah, so those are usually exceptions. There's always an exception to every case. I mean, there are people that have allergies for some things you won't believe anyone should have allergies for. So what we can do, and this is part of what we're doing, this is part of the things we can test in the clinical trials, is the dilution, the dosage. We can play around with the dilution and the dosages to see if, I mean, it can be acceptable by any other person. But if you have serious allergies for oils or things like that, it's probably not going to work for you. I mean, I wish it could work for everyone. Well, at least as far as it works for majority, that's fine. But we can work with anybody who has allergies for things like that. We can continue looking for other substances or oils or whatever to see if we can find the necessary compounds in them to include in the device or the treatment regimen. We can do that. But the plan is to have everyone, every single person, have opportunity to use this device and enjoy the benefits from it.
Great. And somebody mentions that sundowner syndrome, which is part of dementia and Alzheimer's, can have people staying up. So if this could have the side effect of helping with insomnia, that would be wonderful. And actually, if you think about it, if somebody has a more advanced stage of Alzheimer's, and this could help with insomnia.
Oh, yes, it can help with that. But I mean, as far as helping with treatment, probably not, but at least it will help with some of the symptoms, insomnia and things like that, yes.
And then there's several questions about just elaborating on how the olfactory treatment increases cognition. There's sort of a wide range of questions here. If you want to elaborate on that, Charles, but what I'm going to say to the folks that ask these questions that I'm sort of ticking off right now, I think that reaching out to Charles directly, and also when you get the study in hand, when we send that to you and you're able to look through that, it may bring up some additional questions. But if you wanted to elaborate on that, you can.
Yeah, I can try. So it's all about the concept of stimulation, neurostimulation. I mean, most of us know about the transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS device. You put electrodes on your head, and then it sends magnetic or electromagnetic stimulations to sensitize the neurons. So those neurons die off, and then to regenerate the neurons, you stimulate them with whatever stimulus you want. So ours is chemosensory stimulation. It also stimulates these nerve cells. And when you stimulate this, it helps with something called neuroplasticity, which is the ability of whatever area of the brain to continue accepting or consuming more and more information and all. So when you increase the neuroplasticity of the areas of the brain, it helps with cognition. You're able to assimilate more. You're able to retain more information. And that's what it's all about. So it's simply that concept. So we were able to find out remarkable ways of how we can play with these regions to help to continue sensitize those regions. I mean, synergetically with the cognitive training we provide on our device. So when you stimulate these regions, you're helping to regenerate these regions. The synapses, the neurons work better, they send information better, and that's what memory or remembering is all about. And that's what cognition is all about. So that's the concept, and that is how it works.
Great. And then I'll do one last question, and then this is probably one of our longer discussions and the most questions, which is awesome. That's what we love about these, is that's
fantastic.
The difference between a wellness device and a medical device the question is, which could be available faster, being viewed as a medical device or a wellness device?
Well, wellness will definitely get to market faster because there's little or no regulation on that. It all depends on the claims or whatever you put on your label. So with a wellness device, we can actually go to market today because we have an NDA, like I mentioned. So we can actually go to market with wellness, but we are targeting specifically our claims for improving cognition in MCI and early Alzheimer's disease. And to go to market with that, we have to go through the process of clinical trials, and that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and I think that's I like your approach, I should say, because this is something that I think really warrants as much research as possible to validate the claims and to ensure that it's helping folks. Somebody asked, what is an NDA? I know an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, but
sorry, I say NDA because I signed those a lot. It's actually IND, Investigational New Drug Exempt.
Okay, I was going to say. So it's
IND, Investigational New Drug Exempt. Yeah, so we're exempt because what we're using is regarded as grass and can be found in regular, I'm so sorry, not NDA, IND.
Okay, great.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, this is great, Charles. I really appreciate this. Like I said to everybody, we'll have a recording. Charles, if you want to if you don't mind shooting me your, especially the link to the study, I can get that out to everybody. And then any other links, just send me an email with all the, how you sign up, your contact info and all that, and I'll make sure to share that with everybody.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah.